I was an advisor for almost 10 years. I know the pain advisors go through, and I can tell you I wouldn't want to do that job today. The admin load is what we need to start to take off of them so that they can get back to dealing with customers. The dealerships that are embracing AI are already starting to make some incremental leaps ahead of those that are not embracing it. Take a look at all the reports that a service director or a fixed ops director looks at on a daily basis. AI can take and ingest those, and rather than giving them more reports or dashboards to look at, they can give them actionable insights.
Welcome to Retention Roadmap, navigating service success for new car dealerships. I'm your host, Bill Springer. Today's podcast is sponsored by DriveSure. DriveSure helps new car dealerships remain the go-to provider for maintenance, tires, and repairs. For information on how DriveSure can help your dealership, go to drivesure.com/dealership solutions. Today's guest is someone who brings a wealth of experience and insight to the conversation around automotive retail and fixed ops, Dave Foy. With a decades-long career in the industry, Dave has held senior leadership roles across sales, service, training, and strategy. He's worked with OEMs, dealership groups, and vendors to help drive innovation and customer experience and retention. Now, as the founder of Automotive AI Summit, Dave is exploring how artificial intelligence and emerging technologies can help solve real problems across the dealership ecosystem, particularly in service, retention, and customer lifecycle management. Dave's broad perspective and practical mindset make him the perfect guest to unpack where the industry is heading and what dealerships can do right now to retain more customers more profitably. So, Dave, welcome to the podcast. Thrilled to have you here.
Bill, it's great to be here, and anytime I can interact with something with retention in the title, I'm all for it.
Love it. Love it. Looking forward to it. So, with your experience across so much of the dealership world, Dave, what stands out to you as kind of the biggest opportunity in 2025 for dealerships to improve customer retention?
Yeah, I think the big thing to keep in mind here is it's not conquest, it's consistency, and most stores obsess over their new leads and tend to ignore the hundreds of people that are walking through their doors every single month without interacting with any marketing or anything, right? And we need to take care of those customers that are coming in on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Yeah. And why do you think that is? What do you think is some of the underlying causes? I have my theory, but I'm curious as to what your theory might be in terms of why are we so focused on leads, people coming in the door and getting more customers to come in for service, as opposed to really focusing on the ones that are already there and making sure that they come back.
Yeah, I think I think it's the thrill of the chase.
Yeah.
I think it's the excitement around putting out marketing and things that are exciting. And there's a lot of dealerships out there doing fun marketing now, making it more exciting
Yeah.
and interesting to watch, more cinematic, if you will. And that stuff's exciting. That's not driven at the person who's already walking in your door, though, right? That's driven at new people. You want to get somebody interested in your brand to get them into the store, and I think that's that's one of the primary drivers why we focus on new people as opposed to the people that are always that are already in there. And the other reason is just that bias that we all have toward what we already have,
Right.
right? And you kind of let that pass by, right? I bought a Bronco 2.5 years ago. It's the car I drive now, right?
Hmm.
Two and a half years ago, I was taking pictures of that every time I walked by it in the parking lot. It's the same thing with our customers.
Yeah. I also think too, it comes down, this is just a theory of mine, but I think it goes to perhaps mindset. And that is that there's several different ways in which to measure service retention. And I think and there's no one right way, but I think the way in which most OEMs measure it is naturally by looking at a primary market area for the dealership and saying, here's how many of your customers are coming in for service. And it might be, you've got whatever, pick a number, 55% of them have come into you for in the last year for service. And that automatically focuses us on, well, what about the 45? That's a big number that are not coming back to me. Yet it is so hard to get those customers who have not been into the dealership service department before in for the first time, and which makes that first service appointment so critical for the customers you do sell a car to. And so from my perspective, I think alternatively looking at service to service retention, looking at of the customers who have been into your dealership a year ago, how many of them for service, how many of them have returned in the subsequent 12 months for service? And I think that gives a more it just gives a different perspective in terms of how
Mhm.
we're doing with retaining the customers we already have rather than focusing on the ones that we don't, because conquesting customers is so expensive and so difficult.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem too, Bill. Right? Is we look at retention on that longer term scale, rather than looking at and assessing customers that we might be in danger of losing before they get away. Right. So if you start to look at those customers who have been in the last 12 months, who haven't been in the last 12 months, now starting to use tools that are out there with AI, they can start to really dive deep into that data and say, hey, this customer used to come in every 7.2 months. He hasn't been in 9.8 months now.
Right.
Maybe a reach out is due there, right? You're
Yep.
starting to stretch that out. We might be losing this customer.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I really want to dig into this because this is your area of expertise is kind of looking at retention through the lens of technology. And how do you see AI and automation impacting service retention going forward?
Yeah, I think it's going to change it from a model of reactive to predictive, like we just touched on there,
Hmm.
and it's gonna go from we're running campaigns to get people back in the door to we're running campaigns to make sure that we never lose them in the first place. Um, Being able to identify what those different defection risks are before they happen. Maybe it's a missed follow up. Maybe it was some parts that were delayed. Maybe they were in and had an extended wait time on a repair service,
Yep.
and now we can act on those before they turn into longer term issues.
Yeah, makes sense. Are there kind of practical applications, Dave, that you think that practical applications of AI today that dealerships really should be acting on as opposed to just kind of experimenting with right now?
Yeah, that I mean, I honestly feel like the experimentation age was 6 8 months ago for
Yeah.
dealerships, and they need to be getting in there now.
Hmm.
The dealerships that are embracing AI are already starting to make some incremental leaps ahead of those that are not embracing it. Um, it's giving those possibilities to be predictive and not reactive with things. Dealerships that are using companies that can get into their data and really start to analyze that data. Companies that are using it to enhance their service advisor capabilities, whether that's a company that's helping to answer phone calls and route those different, whether it's making an appointment or doing some other action with it, other than just answering the call and summarizing it into an email for an advisor, because
Hmm.
now we're we're kind of kicking it down the road, right? The advisor still has action they need to take on it. You just gave them a little more time
Yeah.
to do that, and we need to be able to free those advisors up for more customer facing interactions.
Hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha. You mentioned utilizing AI to kind of dive into the dealership's data. Can you give us some examples in terms of the impact that AI can have on um, on kind of unearthing some of those gems that are in the data that will provide the dealerships with some actionable insights?
Yeah, so you take a look at all the reports that a service director or a fixed ops director looks at on a daily basis. AI can take and ingest those, and rather than giving them more reports or dashboards to look at, they can give them actionable insights. And they're taking in the AI is taking in way more data points than us as a human being ever could, and finding those similarities and those patterns that we weren't going to find.
Hmm.
So maybe it's an issue with certain jobs taking longer through the shop than they have in the past, or maybe compared to their actual flat rate repair time.
Hmm.
So maybe it unearths that, and it's now that's an actionable insight given to the fixed ops director in the morning to say, hey, you may want to look at whatever it is, call it brake jobs on F-250s. They seem to be taking longer than they have in the past, and then you find out from one of your technicians that, well, yeah, the tool that we need to push back the dual pistons is broken. So, we've been having to, or we had three of them, and now we're down to one, right? And then maybe that's an issue you didn't know. Um, there's so much data available in fixed ops in the dealership in general, but in fixed ops, so much data that you as a fixed ops director could sit in your office all day long and look at reports,
Hmm.
but the AI can ingest that, and in the morning when you come in, give you maybe 10 insights on things that you can go and take action on that day without spending those hours. Now you can spend those hours leading your team, doing what you were really hired to do, right? Building that department, building up that team, and creating the culture inside the store.
Right, right. And what are, just for our listeners, what might be some of the tools, that if a general manager, fixed operations director, service director wanted to look at an AI tool that would enable them to put that report together and sort through it. What are some of the tools that are out there that might help them do that?
Yeah, so one of the companies that's doing a lot of very deep data work is Core AI, and that's CEO is Todd Smith. They're going in there and pulling out those insights,
Hmm.
pulling out that data, digging through all those opcodes and the thousands of extra opcodes that we have in service that were 10 service managers deep that never got removed from the system.
Yeah.
And being able to figure out that, hey, the reason you have these weird anomalies showing up is because you hired a new advisor and they just picked the oil change opcode that they thought they should use, and it's not the right one. And now you're pulling in all kinds of weird numbers that are skewing your reports.
Right.
Um, that's one of the companies. As far as phone answering, this Numa is a big company out there. Toma is another company that's doing a lot in answering calls, and a startup. They're all kind of startups, right? Because it's so new. But SparkServe is another one that's in the BDC realm that is also getting in there, answering calls, digging up data, being able to give teams those insights so they can get back to dealing with. If you're a leader, get back to dealing with the people on your team. If you're an advisor, get back to dealing with those customers.
Sure. Let's talk about service advisors just a little bit and the impact that AI can have on their job. Service advisors, we all know, have a tough job. They got a lot on their shoulders. They got a lot to do. They got a lot of responsibility. Um, how can how can AI really positively impact the effectiveness of a service advisor? And by effectiveness, I'm really talking about more face-to-face time with the customer, because that's
Mhm.
really what's important. And what are you seeing that service advisors are really embracing once they get used to it?
Yeah, so it's about removing that admin load that we've put on advisors. I was an advisor for almost 10 years. I know the pain advisors go through, and I can tell you, I wouldn't want to do that job today. That 10 years was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was 91 to 2000 or so.
Hmm.
Um, and there was a lot back then, but the biggest problem that you had was trying to figure out how three people were going to answer seven phone lines coming into the dealership. The phones have been a consistent problem, but now add on top of that, the advisors still have to answer those phone calls. They have to answer texts, they have to answer emails. They have to worry about all this extra warranty compliance that's been dumped on top of them. We didn't have to worry about that. Tech replaced the battery. We handed the RO to the warranty administrator, and they worried about everything else. Now advisors are having to make sure that they've got battery slips, they've got test readings, that everything is there so that can go to a warranty admin to get handled.
Hmm.
That's the admin load is what we need to start to take off of it, take off of them so that they can get back to dealing with customers. Um, right now, I can't tell you there's an effective tool that's out there. Um, I can tell you that I'm building a tool for service advisors to be able to be that companion for them. Um, a memory and a digital memory and assistant tool, going to be able to help them with following up with customers, remembering to make those follow up calls, remembering to check on parts, doing that briefing that I talked about for the director, doing it for the advisors in the morning, so they have a little review of what happened yesterday, what needs to be taken care of today. Um, but that's coming. That's not there yet.
Mhm. Great. Yeah, sounds promising. I want to talk, Dave, just a little bit about service retention opportunities as it relates to a couple of different areas. And the first one is tires. We spend a lot of time talking to our dealership customers um, about tires because it really is a crucial defection point. When a customer needs tires, all too often they don't even think about the dealership for those tire needs, and it's improving, but there's still a long way to go. Um, what do you see as the biggest opportunities from where you stand, Dave, with respect to how dealers can improve customer retention as it relates to tires and helping sell more tires?
Yeah, I think I look back again to when I was an advisor, and we were telling people to go get your tires at the Goodyear
I
store.
know it's crazy.
Right? We
Yeah,
were sending them away because we didn't want to have to deal with tires because nobody made any money on tires,
right.
right? And I was at a Ford store at the time, and then Ford came out with their around the wheel program. The whole intention of that or purpose of that was to teach everybody that all of the extra things that you get to sell when you sell tires, everything that's around the wheel, all those suspension, the brake parts, there's a lot of other things that you can sell, and we kind of need to get back to that basic look at it, right? It's not about whether you're going to make a whole lot of money selling a set of tires, right? But you are going to keep the customer coming back in the store. Typically, they're coming back in the store once or twice a year to get their oil change and their tires rotated. Um, to me, tire rotation is one of those things we should be offering free from the start. When they buy their vehicle, we should be offering that tire rotation free. Most vehicles that are coming in and getting their oil change, techs are pulling at least a couple tires off to get a brake measurement for their MPI.
Yep.
It's not really that big a deal to pull two more tires off. Pay the tech to do that
Yeah.
because
Right.
everything that's going to come from that is all going to help your gross profit, and you get the customer gets the feeling of that value that they're getting these free tire rotations that they used to pay 19.95, 29.95 for, right? So
Hmm.
put it on the invoice, either exit off there as a coupon or whatever, but show them what the value was. Don't just show it as free, so they see that value every time. And now you've got that same reason that tire stores are getting customers to come back because they get free tire rotations. Now they're coming to you. They don't have to go to that tire store. And you can offer them that same thing if they buy a set of tires.
Yep. For sure. Similar question around EVs. As EV adoption grows, even though it's stalled a little bit here in the last 6 months or a year, what adjustments do you think service departments need to make to stay relevant and valuable to EV customers on a long term basis?
Yeah, so EV customers tend to be those digital native customers. So as we get more into AI and more digitized in our dealership, it's going to help us with that relationship with them. Um, but that doesn't mean that they understand their vehicle and understand the needs of their vehicle, right? They are back in the day when OEMs went to bumper coverage, warranty coverage, and everybody thought that meant every single thing was covered. A lot of people are buying EVs and thinking they're maintenance free vehicles. I'm
Hmm.
buying a maintenance free vehicle, not understanding that the tires are different on the vehicle, that they're going to wear out quicker because the vehicle weighs more, it handles differently, it is doing things differently than your car, your regular ice car that you're driving is doing. No different than having to explain to customers now why brakes wear out much faster because of traction control and active controls on your suspension. It's wearing out components faster that didn't wear out before,
Yep.
in the name of having a safer vehicle, having a vehicle that rides better. All of those things affect other parts of it. And with EVs, we need to be educating those customers about those things. And we need to have, I know this word is overused, but we need to have frictionless experiences for those EV customers as they come in, because that is what they are expecting.
Yep.
They are not the customer that is walking in to an IKEA and then picking an item out and then going to the warehouse and having to pick it off the shelves themselves, right? They're the Amazon one click buy people who want that frictionless experience, and we need to deliver it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's a great point. Kind of looking into the future, Dave. What are you most excited about right now that really could positively change dealership service departments and retaining customers and better retaining customers? What's exciting you these days?
Yeah, I think the things that really get me going are um, smart inspection tools that help the advisor productivity. Tools like UVI, giving an instant report to the advisor that they can use with that customer. Um, that's going to help our retention rates as we better help our customers to understand their vehicles. And there's a long way to go with that stuff too, right? There's a lot more information that can be pulled out of that report that's being given to that customer,
Yep.
as well as giving the advisor some things to talk about in the report, right? We don't need advisors to be super technical people, but we do need them to be able to explain some things to customers at a little bit higher level than that customer is at. Um, Techs being able to stay in their bays and do work, right? If as we continue the flat rate system, we need to make sure that we remove every single roadblock possible from that technician so that they can keep working on cars.
Yep.
Yes, it helps the dealership make more money, but it helps retain that technician. It's going to help us attract new technicians, and in the long run, it's strong for the industry because now those technicians, as they age through the system, are now becoming more tech enabled and understanding more things from that side so that they can, as they don't want to work in the shop anymore, can become the mentors for the new techs coming in, or they become our I was going to call it the batter's box, not the batter's box, where the pitchers wait.
Yep.
For
Bullpen on deck. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so for our next service advisors,
Yeah.
right? And techs techs sometimes can make great service advisors. I was a tech. I wasn't a great tech. I was a great service advisor. But great techs can make great service advisors,
Yeah.
right? They have the ability to explain things to customers. And if they've been brought up through that digital system, then they've also used those tools to be able to simplify things to the customer level, but still high enough that they can help the customer to understand what's really going on with their car.
Yep. Yeah, I think when you mentioned uh, UVI and digital inspection technology, I would include in there just various video inspection tools and software that are out there. I think really, from what I've seen, really helps improve the transparency between the dealership and the customer when they can see with their own eyes, what's going on with their vehicle, and being told not only, here's your brakes are in decent shape but they're going to need to be replaced at some point
Yeah.
in the near future, as well as knowing what's in good shape on the car too.
Yes.
I think it's great technology that when used well and used consistently really helps solidify that relationship between the dealership and the vehicle owner.
Yeah. Absolutely. And those technologies also help us to build trust with the customer, because it's not they come in for three oil changes and we tell them they need brakes, right?
Right.
It's a your brakes are green, your brakes are green, your brakes are yellow, your brakes are yellow. The next couple of times you come in, you're probably going to be getting due for brakes, right? They've been told four, five, six times that they're going to need brakes before we actually say, "Hey, today's the day. We need to do the brakes today." They've had time to prepare for that. You've had time to build trust with them that every single time they come in, you're not trying to sell them something. You're showing them the things that are good on their car, and helping them to stay safe in the future as we prepare them as those go from green, yellow to red.
Right. Absolutely. Dave, before I let you go, I want to ask you about the Automotive AI Summit that you're putting together. Tell us a little bit about that and what's to be gained by attending that.
Yeah, really excited about this. It's building a ton of momentum. Honestly, much more than I thought it would. A lot of interest in there. There's a lot of dealerships out there that just don't even know where to start with AI. Right? You kind of touched on that at the beginning. They don't know where to start. They don't understand. For a lot of dealerships, AI is one of two things. It's chat gpt writing some copy or making a funny action figure, or it's the companies that are answering phones for them, right? Both worthwhile AI uses, but there's so much more that we can do. Companies like core AI, like I mentioned, digging into the data and pulling insights out. um, that's what we aim to do with this summit, is to put in front of dealers real technologies, having real solutions, making a real impact on dealerships, and getting the information that they need to make some decisions on what's right for them, what works well for them, what wouldn't work well for them. Right? Everything is not going to be a bolt-on perfect fit for every dealership.
Sure.
And we also want to get the word out there that AI is not a be all end all solution to everything, right? AI needs work. It needs constant training. It's not just a plug and play. And anybody trying to sell you an AI plug and play solution is somebody you should run from.
Yeah.
That's not the way it works. It needs to learn the system. It needs to continually learn. It constantly needs to be retrained. It is no different than having a service advisor, having a technician, right? You are constantly training, coaching, and mentoring them. And you have to do the same thing with those AI systems. The difference is the output that you get on the other side of that coaching and training is 100x what you
Right.
get, as us humans tend to forget. We process drift off of things over time, and that type of stuff doesn't happen. So
Exactly. Yeah.
super
Beautiful.
excited. Thanks for asking about it. We're really excited to bring this to the industry.
Yeah. Of course, it sounds great. Well, Dave, you've given us so much to think about today. I really appreciate you coming on board for the podcast. If any of our listeners would like to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, LinkedIn is a very simple way. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, Dave Foy. And if they want to send me an email, they can certainly do that. It's dave@digitalpilot.ai. Feel free to drop me a line there also if you wish.
Okay. We'll include those in the show notes when the episode comes out. Dave, thanks again for being with us. Really appreciate your time today.
Great. Love being here, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. You've been listening to Retention Roadmap, Navigating Service Success for New Car Dealerships. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.